But Charles, we're not going back to 1619. We're not going back to we're starting from now with the knowledge that we have. When I say burn it all, not burn it down, but start with a foundation that we have now.
I want to dream through your eyes because I can't quite see it because I just see chaos. I I agree with the idea that the system is corrupt
Mm-hmm.
and um, arrayed against Black people and a lot of other minorities who are fragile and vulnerable, and it's really hard to see how they make it right.
I'm just concerned that this sort of piecemeal approach, especially in the time that we are in now, that it is not working. And so I believe that this is a big, I like to look at it as an opportunity. I know it's awful what's happening,
Yes.
but I think it's an opportunity for us to start from here
Yes.
in the beginning
Yes.
with a new boldness
Yes.
and clearer eyes than when we came to this country.
Okay. And listen. If I could wave the wand, I would do this thing. I just don't know how you get there from here.
That's that.
Okay.
But I think we're going to figure out how to get there from here. I believe this is where we are in this.
That's a good question I want to ask you though. Like, how do you think, or do you think we return from the edge of the cliff where we are now?
Where we are now?
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to return from the edge of the cliff. I think we're going to go over.
Really?
Yes.
And what does that look like?
I don't know, but that's sort of what I'm saying. I don't know. We have to figure it out with the knowledge that we have now, because we know how they are and what the links that they will go to preserve whiteness and to preserve their place in society. That's really what it's about. Fear. It's about losing their place in society, losing the preeminent voices that they have. So I think we're going over a cliff if we're not over that cliff now. When you have people getting rid of, the accomplishments of Black people in history and taking them out of the history books, taking us out of the history books, and getting rid of, diversity, equity, inclusion, I think we're done.
So,
But there's no legislative branch anymore. The legislative branch is part of the executive branch now. There's really no judicial branch.
Right.
That's part of the executive branch now. So the Republicans, or right now the MAGA folks who are mainly white, they are in control of everything now,
Right.
and they're not going back. And so I think we have to start over with a clearer eye and a clearer vision about how we move forward, because this sort of piecemeal effort and hoping that someone is going to come around, they're never going to come around. I did a talk with a congresswoman who I love, and I said, what do we do? People were asking, it was a virtual town hall. What do we do? What do we do? And she said, oh, we just need 3 or 4 Republicans to come over. And I said, that's never going to happen. And I think it's the same way with the country. It's never going to happen. You're never going to get them to understand the moment that we're in, or even just accept us for who we are.
Okay. So first I want to say that I do respect the people who do the work of coalition building and bridge building or whatever. But the big but in that sense, but that is not me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the time. I have zero patience for trying to convince someone to come out of a cave.
I agree.
I'm
with you.
It really, it disturbs something spiritually in me that I should have to spend my time and my energy
Convincing other people.
Like time, energy, love, creativity are limited commodities in a life.
Mm-hmm.
Every minute that I spend on trying to correct the flaw in someone else is time I spend away from loving my family, from being in community,
and yourself,
doing my work, from being creative. And I look at all of our monumental Black intellectuals, like a Frederick Douglass, like a Ida B. Wells, the list goes on. And I think, what could they have invented if they were not consumed by this poison that you had put into the society?
Amen. Yes. And I feel that way now because there are people who are coalition building now.
Yes.
And it's hard for me to find time in my day from dealing with my sister who is sick, trying to, you know, create content and run a business, um, spending time with my husband, right? Spending time with my friends and the people I love, to be all consumed by the toxicity
Yes.
that is happening on the other side and the energy that it takes to build a coalition to try to convince other people to come along.
And also, it centers,
It's almost unbearable.
it intellectually centers them instead of us.
Instead of us.
And so the exercise that I like to always do in my mind is to make sure that I am starting from the narrative of us,
Mm,
that it is not defining Blackness as compared to whiteness
Right.
or oppressed by whiteness or in competition with anyone, but rather that these are humans who have the same human characteristics as any other. They laugh when they are happy, and they cry when they are sad, and they invent, and there's crime, but there's heroes. They have all of the capacity. And when we change the artistic lens so that we are not measuring this humanity by any other humanity or this by anything else, I'm able to then free us off.
Mhm.
And by freeing us, I free me
Mhm.
to just be a human in the world who is trying to be all the
Mhm.
things that humans want to be. That is a revolutionary, in some ways, um, radical shift
Mhm.
that I wish more people would would do, because that is where the freedom is.
Yeah.
I think it is a shackle, sometimes necessary, that we have fighters in our space who have to go out and fight against white supremacy, because it has
You
to.
said it
Well,
was shackled?
it's a shackle, because you're tying yourself to the bayonet, right? You
Yeah.
is that it that is your role now in the world, is that you are the soldier rather than you are the artist.
Mhm.
And I want there to be space
Yeah.
that the artist has as much uh, power and as much force as anyone, because there is so much power and force
You said in art.
in art.
I am living that now. I just wrote a piece on Substack. I don't know if you got a chance to read it, where I talked about the folks who are gonna save us in this moment, if it's, to be saved, are artists, writers, people who are, philanthropists.
Yeah.
And I mentioned you, I mentioned Darren Walker, I mentioned, Dr. Francis Collins, I mentioned Dr. Fauci, and those people who are unafraid and unapologetic to be any of those things, and also to be Black. What you're saying right now, I am living that, right? Because you know what's happening in journal. I believe you're living it away. You know what's happening in journalism and media. It's really tough. So
Mhm.
there are people who are building coalitions to try to protect us because they're trying to get rid of us. But it's tough, and I am building a business. I'm an entrepreneur now, right? I'm not just a journalist,
Yes.
and so I'm starting to put, that's another brick that I'm building.
Yeah.
I believe, when we were talking about starting over and whatever, I believe that building something from scratch, not necessarily from scratch, I'm not saying from the very beginning, it the house is stronger, the building is stronger when you're building, because one side is building, that's us. The other side is preserving. It takes a lot more energy, as a matter of fact, I believe, to preserve
Right.
than to build.
And the beauty of what you're doing, though, Don, is, like, I live by this motto, which is, when things fall apart, build something.
Mhm.
Like, because it is such an opposite impulse. It balances destruction. It balances all that negativity that comes with people trying to destroy, because you are in the mode of creation.
Mhm.
And that gives it all the juice.
And inspiration.
All the inspiration and the joy of creation. Creation is an amazing, magical thing. And so the fact that you're in that now changes all narratives.
Yeah. But I don't want to be building by building off something that is negatively inspired, because I'm building because I'm fighting this. I'm building because I'm in a moment of inspiration. I'm being creative. I know that that is there, but that is not the source of.
But I want you to accept that the greatest art is always produced in the greatest pressure.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. So our greatest artists, they were living in rough areas. It was crime. New York in the 80s produced some amazing artists.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
So there a lot, and when you look around the world at where art really starts and the creative juices are going, it is under pressure.
Pressure, friction.
It is under pressure.
Yeah.
So it's not that it's a negative impulse. It is that the human spirit needs that pressure cooker sometimes as the ignition
Yeah.
to create something amazing, because that is our reaction.
Yeah. But what I mean by that is not out of anger.
Yeah.
I want to create out of inspiration. That thing,
Yes.
right, that could have taken it down is an inspiration, is inspiring, rather than something that will crush me, or I have this negative anger that I am,
Anger serves no one.
no one.
Anger serves no one.
No.
And I understand people's impulse to want to be mad about something, particularly if you've been wronged or whatever.